All right, well, the Matildas Soccer World Cup win against Brazil pushed women's sport into the headlines, but it's definitely not reflected in their earnings. Each Matilda was paid just $500 in match fees. Compare that to the $7,500 their male counterparts would have received. Now, if they make it to the final, the girls will get $5,500 each. The blokes will get $69,000
each.
How can anyone justify this, Ita?
They can't.
No.
I mean, the gender... I beg your pardon?
Let me do something that I'm afraid nobody wants to hear or know. Tell you why it's like this. Now, there's two things, first of all. When you talk about, as Trevor Scales just laid out, the bonus difference between the men's team and the women's team, between what a winner, if it had been the U.S. men, would get in the World Cup and the women. The women got a pool, or got paid out from a pool of $30 million from the Women's World Cup. The men would draw from a pool of $400 million, okay? $400 million, $30 million. Why is that? It's because the Men's World Cup generates $6 billion in revenue. The Women's World Cup generates $131 million in revenue. If you want to talk about pay disparity, the Women's World Cup players get paid out 20% of the total revenue. The men get paid out 7%. As a percentage point, they are getting much more.
Once, the Arsenal women's team played against the under-15 boys in a training match. The match ended 5-0 for the boys.
The Australian women's football team, which is considered as one of the top 5 women football teams in the world, played against a team of 15-year-old boys and lost 7-0 to the boys.
It's a chant now linked forever to the 2019 U.S. women's soccer team.
It's very frustrating for us on the team, for women everywhere, I'm sure, to be feeling like they aren't getting paid what they should be.
The United States women's national team lost to the U15 Dallas, that's under 15 boys, in a soccer match.
The Australian women's national team, who were ranked number 5 in the world at the time, lost 7-0 to a team of 15-year-old boys.
Awkward.
Men always say how women's soccer sucks. Then come to the field and try with us.
It is, in fact, the $1 Million Soccer Tournament from Cary, North Carolina, and this matchup features the U.S. women against Sayward FC. And this should be fun because you will see some players that we haven't seen in some time, but players whose names you know and you know very well.
We've got quite a large pay dispute happening with our Australian women's soccer team at the moment. Is it frustrating for you as someone who's so prominent in your sport? And we heard you say on the Ellen show the other day you are the richest fighter in UFC, that sort of thing is still going on?
I think that how much you get paid should have something to do with how much money you bring in. I'm the highest paid fighter, not because Dana and Lorenzo wanted to do something nice for the ladies. They do it because I bring in the highest numbers. They do it because I make them the most money. And I think that the money that they make should be proportionate to the money that they bring in.
For the Wade by Kendall Fletcher.
It's an important read from Fletcher. Such an intelligent player to cut that out.
First shot, and that's going to be a stop. A nice save by Lindsey Harris. Alejandra Lopez with that shot. Here's the corner. Again, you could expect some rifles coming in. Another one. And use them pretty loosely. Another attempt, and that's headed by Fletcher. She took a shot right there. The rebound, and there's a goal. The first goal of the game scored by Brendan Lambie.
If you're the rest of the team, I think the rest of the team reacting to her, making sure she's okay before reacting to the ball. And then Brendan Lambie reacts quickest and pokes it home.
Back in the game. Olalui. 16th minute. Inside, and this is going to be ricocheted into the net for the second goal of the game for Sayward FC.
First few minutes of the game.
And this corner is going to be a header in for the third goal of the game. That
First couple of moments on the field. What was that like for you, getting to start this one? And what are you guys taking it?
The team doesn't have the opportunity to get back in that target score time, so we're going to look to keep the intensity high, get shots on target, and score a goal like that. There we go. High-level players. And so that's going to give us the confidence to move forward in this tournament. You know, hopefully we can finish this out, get the goals that we need. And
in the box, we're going to have a penalty.
As I said before, there's going to be gaps that open up, and it creates this penalty kick opportunity.
Cat Whitehill is going to take the PK. Whitehill shot, it's saved!
From the U.S. women's in possession, and they've stepped up their press yet again, playing a high line to transition.
Here is the counter again, the step through the shot, another shot, and there it is! Game over, Sayward FC, as Brendan Lambie scores the game winner. These women, they're not just heroes for young girls, they're heroes for everyone.
I can justify it.
How? Why?
Well, I tell you what, stars don't get paid more money because, a sport doesn't become interesting because the stars are paid more money. Stars get paid more money because the sport is interesting. Let me ask you this. How many of you guys on the panel know who our Australian Matildas are playing in the quarterfinals?
Don't.
No, because you don't care about it. Now, if you cared about
I do if they win.
No, but that's the thing.
They beat Brazil.
Do you know what? All of you can go and watch W League games in the women's competition here, but you don't. Now, when you start to go and watch these women play the wonderful football they do, then they'll earn more money.
But I don't go to watch the men play football either.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people do, Ita. The Men's World Cup is one of the biggest money spinners on the planet. Women's football, even though at grassroots level it's working really, really well, it's got a long way to go. The other thing, let me ask you this about sports equality. The top 10 fastest men of all time in terms of sprinters are all black, of African origin. Are you telling me that the white guys should say, hold on, we should be paid just as much as the black guys for sprinting? No, because they're not as fast.
Well, no, whoever wins gets the most.
Yeah, well, that's it. Do you know what? There is not one team in the Women's World Cup that could beat a junior male side in the A-League.
So what?
So they're not as good.
Well, they're playing.
Handled easily by Matteo Pimbino. Coutron now in the open field. He slides it over. And we've got our first goal of the game. The first ever player with her jersey retired by the Washington Spirit. Marcus Beasley's team. As this shot is saved by themselves, but you can see that fan support back behind their bench as Coutron now comes inside. Lays it off. And a second goal here. How they started to adjust to this style. 7v7, running subs, no offside. It is unique as Coutron gets his first goal of the game.
Set to get underway shortly on field for a Group F matchup between Colorado.
Dominated USL for the 3 years before they went to Major League Soccer. As Lindsay runs this one down, tries to cut back. The referee doesn't agree, and now Como are on the attack. Down 4-0, not giving up on any single play. And the first to hit that mark will win the game. The foul for the stretch. Corey looks like it's going to have one more chapter. Is this the first goal for the U.S.? It's just wide off the post. A second bite coming here. The long strike tipped on by Lindsay. O'Reilly brings this one down. All the way back. Opportunity coming here. A chance on the top of the box. It's saved. Touched in, and Lohman has the first goal of the tournament. Lohman at 40 years old, able to get it done. As now this one will flick up and will go in as an own goal. But that is the beauty of target score. You never know what can happen. Harris here with the ball at her feet, and she's pressured, and that'll be it. Como 1907 knew the job they had to do coming in here. And for the
Again, you got to be careful. There's a shot, and there's a goal. Nice spin move here by Lloyd. Lloyd! Another shot and another goal.
Look for the players running off of him. It's a big ask, but...
Well, there's Trundle able to turn and get another goal. But Trundle able to keep it with the left, and Trundle with his second goal. It's now 5-0.
Yeah, so far so good in this game.
So far so good. Another goal. Trundle. Murkoff trying to move around, and that's going to be a nice pass in a... Murkoff takes that shot with the left.
And swinging to make that perfect contact.
And that was...
I mean, it's a fast pace. You know, a lot of these guys have a lot of experience, a lot of goals as well.
Here's a turnover. Jarvis, there it is. Game over. 12-0. Wrexham defeats the U.S. women.
Nonsense.
What?
Maybe
No,
verse them.
but why? But to me, it comes down to simply a matter of inequity. It's not, I mean, women are not paid the same amount of money as blokes in so many professions. And I think we need to pay women more in sport, in all sorts of different jobs.
Well, regardless of whether the product's as good.
But they are top of their game, so why aren't they paid
Because
top dollar for being top of their game?
They're not top of the mind.
Let's talk about tennis. Okay, tennis, the pay discrepancy in world tennis is not as great as other sports. So at Wimbledon...
But only recently.
Yeah, that's right. But the reason being is because the product that the female tennis players are offering is good. Because in male tennis, it's serve, volley, ace, double fault. Whereas women's tennis is more about rallies. It's better to watch. And that's why it's paid more.
But Dicko, don't you think the Matildas would say to you, what do you mean football isn't as good? It is as good. We are...
But the ratings aren't as good, and it comes down to a business thing where not as many people are watching it, so there's not as much money getting paid.
But it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's hard to get women's sport on television. It's hard to get women's sport in newspapers, the coverage that the men's sports, you know, and so the build-up is even harder to get.
Ita, the only reason we're talking about the Matildas today is not because of their achievements on the field, but because of a gender pay discrepancy. Therefore, it's not the sport you're interested in, but the injustice.
If you arrived earlier yesterday, you would have heard me saying, wasn't it fantastic, the Matildas beat Brazil?
Yeah, good, but how...
And we were talking about it. We were all talking about it on the panel. We showed that
does make
clip.
a good point. Can you name 5 players from the team? I can't.
But I'm not a soccer fan. That still doesn't mean I can't stand up for women to be paid the same amount as blokes.
I think the point Dicko is trying to make is if we want more pay equality to happen, we need to support women's sport and watch it more. As a country, we need to get behind, you know, our big female sporting teams instead of just complaining that we're not paid the same.
Women's football is fantastic in this country, but unless you support it, you can't expect it to be paid as much as the blokes.
Let's look at some feedback, see what you guys think at home. It's certainly got us divided here on the panel. This from Mark. Simple, get sponsorship, sell out the arenas and the media coverage, they can have it. There is a huge difference. It has little to do with sexism. And this from Sue. What else do you expect from the boys' club mentality that still rules this world? And finally, this from Michael. It's not sexism, it's economics and capitalism. Supply and demand are how prices, salaries and sponsorship are determined.